Hello, Mike Levin, Friday, April 10th, 2015. When last we left off, I created the first part of the positions function where I hit a Google API that exists for running Google cloning search engines that they had in the past when it was in style for people to recirculate the search results from some other provider and pose it as their own. Google never sunset this API, so we can still hit it. And so we do. And we're working in the functions file. And to do that capture, it was just these lines of code. And it's hardwired to search on my name right now, so parameterizing that will be part of today's work. Also, one of the things I'm not so happy with is it's sticking it in this cell as the Python expression of the object, which is what's littering it up with all these U's. I don't believe it would necessarily be that way if we were on Python 3.4, but I'm still on 2.7. So there's this unicoding prefix even in their text expression of a dictionary object. Whew, that's a long way of saying I want to stick JSON in here instead of Python. And what else? Oh yes, that is just it was the top 4 results. Since the last video, I put in this parameter here, results equals large, which sends back 8 positions per page. You page through them. So you can get a total of 80 right now, and I would have had to have stepped, getting 4 results per page, I would have had to have stepped in 20 times. Now I can just step in 10 times through the results and get 8 SERPs per page for a total of the top 80. This is going to be a top 80 model rather than the top 100. If you don't like that versus the vendor provided 100, tough noogies, the cost of this is free. I'll be doing a lot of pausing as I figure out next step, which in this case is displaying JSON in the cell instead of Python. Okay, it appears it might just be as simple as instead of invoking the JSON method, we invoke the text property. So we simply go back to this page and change that occurrence of .json to .text. And so that we can compare a before and after in the spreadsheet, I will actually name positions something else, positions 2. And then I'll name this positions so that we can have a side-by-side comparison. Pipulate. I will have to log in. Log into Pipulate. Choose my user. I do indeed accept. Start pipulating. That's one of the things I like about my UI here is that the blinking red shows you it hitting the GData API, and then you can see the data that gets returned back actually here a moment before it appears here. So you know what's going on the Pipulate server as soon as it happens. So anyway, yeah, this is not polluted with all those little U things. So, and is it otherwise the same? Yeah, it looks pretty much about the same, right? Yeah, the wrapping is a little different, but that's the same object. And for those people who are not familiar with JSON and how you can tell what you're looking at, a very common thing is to have to prettify. And you can see it's auto-suggesting JSON. So let's prettify some JSON. Now we do want to do it online. There's a chance that we just find a resource for a programmer, but no, it actually gave us an online processor. So this is kind of useful to look at because it tells us what kind of object we're dealing with. Well, there's a lot of backticks, there's a lot of escaping, and still a lot of Unicode characters in there. So at least it's the JSON way of doing it and not the Python way, so that it's more highly portable between other tools that might read the contents out of this cell from Google Spreadsheets. But we are going to be what we shall call field stuffing this JSON object into a cell. But we're not going to stop there. We are actually going to put multiple of these into each cell, because what we're looking at is the first of paging. So we are at start 0, but we're going to have to switch to start 8 and start 16, and each time we change our start, it's going to get the next paging of results. And I want to throw each one of those result objects stacked right with the others. So essentially this would keep scrolling down, and you'd see page 2 of results and page 3 of results, and so on through 10 pages of results. Is that 10? Can I go that high? Well, start 56. It tells you exactly what you can get. So I could actually use these as my start equals and make sure that I'm doing exactly what the API wants me to do. It's 8 pages of results. Yes, because the first one for labels, it's 1 based index. So 8 pages of results, each with 8 results. So I pause. After having stared at the problem for a while, I see that my first issue is generating these correct start positions, that in each invocation of the API get parameter or get URL, I can feed the correct number. And it occurred to me to search on Python for printing multiples of something. I found this nifty solution here in Stack Overflow, and it is time to open a new terminal and go into the Python interactive command line and paste the example, which I already know works because I tried this before the video, using the numbers that I need for 8. There you go, 0 through 56 by 8. And if we look at our JSON object, 0 through 56 by 8 is the results that are available to us. So I can go back to here, and we can start to put some structure code in. I'll start separately from the stuff above it, and we'll intermix it in a moment. This really has to be a 4. That's 4. I've got to give it an arbitrary thing to the result value of this list comprehension. That would be for X. Is it an X that we're getting out of there? For start. In. And then in Python language, you put a colon there. And let's see. I'll add it to a list. We need to test our structure. Return me equals an empty list. Return me dot append, and we'll just stick the return value in. Start. And so after it's through that loop, we should be able to return me. Comment out that other one. And for that matter, we don't really need the call to be made to the API at all. We just want to see a list get plugged into that cell. And I believe it'll be auto-magically converted to a string the way I programmed Pipulate. But now we go back here. We'll turn that into positions 3. And we'll say positions. Plug our question mark in. Hit our Pipulate bookmarklet. I put it here. Start pipulating. We'll see if we get a little list come back in place of the question mark. Yay! Just as expected. I will stop the video there, sort of bank it here. This SERP position tracking is going to be built up in lots of little steps like this so that you can see and isolate each logic level. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you soon. And don't forget to subscribe.